November 24th, 1971, the day before Thanksgiving. Northwest Orient Airlines. Flight 305 departed Portland, Oregon at 2:50 p.m., bound for Seattle, Washington. There were 36 passengers on board, 6 crew members, and 1 man sitting in seat 18C wearing a dark suit and a black tie. Shortly after takeoff, the man handed a note to a flight attendant. She slipped it into her pocket without reading it, assuming it was his phone number. He leaned over and said quietly, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." The note demanded $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle. And then, with $200,000 strapped to his body, he opened the rear door of a Boeing 727 at 10,000 feet in the middle of a Pacific Northwest rainstorm and jumped. He was never seen again. To this day, D.B. Cooper is the only unsolved case of air piracy in American aviation history. To understand just how audacious this crime was, we need to go through exactly what happened on that flight. The man who would become known as D.B. Cooper, that was never his real name as we will discuss, boarded the flight in Portland using the name Dan Cooper. He bought his ticket with cash. He was described by crew members as a middle-aged white man, approximately 5 feet 10 inches tall with dark hair and sunglasses. He was calm, polite. He ordered a bourbon and soda and paid for it. After passing the note to flight attendant Florence Schaffner, he opened his briefcase briefly to show her what appeared to be a bomb, red cylinders, wires, and a battery. Whether it was a real bomb has never been determined. The pilot radioed Seattle, the FBI was notified, and the airline made the decision to comply with all demands. The plane circled Seattle for 2 hours while the ransom was assembled. The FBI gathered 10,000 unmarked $20 bills, serial numbers recorded, totaling $200,000. 4 parachutes were also delivered, 2 military-grade and 2 civilian. The plane landed in Seattle. The passengers were released. The money and parachutes were brought on board. Cooper then instructed the crew to fly toward Mexico City at the lowest possible altitude, no higher than 10,000 feet, with the landing gear down and the flaps partially deployed. He told them to fly slowly. Somewhere over the Cascade Mountains of southern Washington state, at approximately 8:13 p.m., the crew felt a change in pressure at the rear of the aircraft. Cooper had opened the rear air stair door of the Boeing 727, the only commercial aircraft with a door that could be opened mid-flight, and jumped into the darkness. The temperature outside was -7 degrees Celsius. The wind speed was over 100 miles per hour. It was raining. He was never found. The FBI launched what became one of the longest and most expensive investigations in the Bureau's history. First, the name. The media had picked up on a miscommunication and reported the hijacker's name as D.B. Cooper rather than Dan Cooper, the name on his ticket. D.B. Cooper stuck. It became one of the most famous aliases in American crime history. Investigators mapped the flight path and calculated a drop zone, a roughly 5-mile-wide corridor over the wilderness of Clark County, Washington. Hundreds of agents searched the area on foot. Nothing was found. The recorded serial numbers of the ransom bills were distributed to banks and businesses across the Pacific Northwest. Decades passed. Almost none of the bills ever surfaced. Then in February 1980, a young boy named Brian Ingram was digging on the banks of the Columbia River near Vancouver, Washington, roughly 40 miles from the calculated drop zone. He found a small bundle of decayed $20 bills. The serial numbers matched the ransom money. It was the only physical evidence ever recovered from the crime. The money had not been buried. It appeared to have washed downstream. But from where and how long ago could not be determined. No parachute was ever found, no body was ever found, no DNA conclusively matched to a suspect was ever recovered. The profile of D.B. Cooper, built from crew descriptions and behavioral analysis, painted a very specific picture. He knew aircraft. He specifically chose a Boeing 727, the only commercial plane with a rear air stair that could be opened in flight. He knew to request the plane fly slowly at low altitude. He knew what a fuel truck was and how to request one. This was not someone who had watched a movie about planes. This was someone with aviation knowledge. He knew parachutes. When 4 parachutes were delivered, Cooper chose one of the military-grade chutes for himself, not the civilian ones. He recognized the difference instantly. He was calm throughout, not nervous, not erratic. No crew member described him as threatening or aggressive beyond the initial bomb threat. He was described as businesslike, even pleasant. He thanked crew members. He let all passengers go without hesitation. This was someone who had planned this carefully, knew exactly what they were doing, and had the psychological composure to execute it under enormous pressure. The FBI's working theory was that Cooper had military parachute experience, possibly special forces or airborne training, and familiarity with the Pacific Northwest wilderness. Over the course of the investigation, the FBI investigated over 1,000 suspects. Here are the most significant. Richard Floyd McCoy, Jr. Just 4 months after the Cooper hijacking, McCoy hijacked a United Airlines flight in almost identical fashion, demanding money and parachuting from the plane. He was caught, convicted, and later escaped from prison before being killed in a shootout with FBI agents in 1974. Many investigators believed McCoy and Cooper were the same person. The FBI officially ruled this out. The crew descriptions did not match, but the theory persists. Robert Rackstraw, a former Army paratrooper with a long criminal history including fraud, theft, and impersonating a military officer. He had parachute training and familiarity with the Pacific Northwest. He was investigated by the FBI multiple times and always denied involvement. A private investigation team claimed in 2016 that coded messages hidden in Cooper's original letters pointed to Rackstraw as the culprit. The FBI did not pursue the claim. Rackstraw died in 2019. L.D. Cooper. In 2011, a woman named Marla Cooper came forward claiming her uncle Lynn Doyle. Cooper, known as L.D., was D.B. Cooper. She said he had arrived at a Thanksgiving family gathering the day after the hijacking, covered in cuts and acting strangely. The FBI tested DNA from items belonging to L.D. Cooper against DNA recovered from the hijacker's tie left on the plane. The results were inconclusive. The tie. This is perhaps the most significant piece of physical evidence in the case. Cooper left his clip-on tie on the seat when he jumped. In 2001, investigators found particles on the tie, including pure titanium and rare earth elements, consistent with someone who worked in the aerospace or metals industry in the late 1960s and early 1970s. This detail has never been conclusively matched to a suspect. The question that has haunted this case for 50 years: did D.B. Cooper survive the jump? The conditions that night were brutal. -7 degrees Celsius, 100-mile-per-hour winds, heavy rain, dense forest below. He was jumping at night with no way to see the ground. Most experienced skydivers who have analyzed the jump believe survival was possible but extremely difficult. The fact that no body was ever found, in terrain where bodies from plane crashes have been recovered, is used by both sides of the argument. Some say it proves he survived and walked away. Others say the wilderness of the Pacific Northwest is vast enough that a body could remain undiscovered indefinitely. The bundle of cash found by Brian Ingram in 1980 complicates things further. If Cooper had survived and escaped, why did some of the money end up in the Columbia River? Did he lose it during the jump? Did he stash it and it washed away? Or did he land in the river and drown, the money washing downstream while his body was never recovered? In 2016, the FBI officially suspended active investigation of the case, citing a need to redirect resources. The case was not closed, it was suspended. It remains officially open to this day. D.B. Cooper occupies a unique place in American crime history. He is the only hijacker who was never caught. He is the only hijacker who has become something close to a folk hero, celebrated in films, books, songs, and television shows. People root for him in a way they root for almost no other criminal in American history, because what he did was audacious and strange, and in the way he did it, harming no one, releasing all the passengers, disappearing into a storm, almost cinematic. But the reality is harder. The FBI spent 50 years and enormous resources chasing a ghost. Aviation security was completely transformed because of what one man did on one afternoon in 1971, and whoever he was and wherever he ended up, he took the truth with him. The money in the Columbia River, the titanium particles on the tie, the parachute training, the aviation knowledge. All of these details point somewhere, but after 50 years, they have never pointed far enough. Do you think D.B. Cooper survived the jump? And do you have a theory about who he really was? Drop your answer in the comments below.